Hey, everybody, welcome back to the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And I know we have been all over the place in terms of when we're doing these shows. We're pretty good about doing them on Thursdays in the regular season. But once we get into the off season, we've got stuck on a Friday. Now we're on a Wednesday, and we know that doesn't always work with everybody's schedule. So we apologize for that, but putting the show together does require us to be here. And when we can't be here, there's no show. It just simply works that way. But anyway, glad to have everybody here. Hello to our viewers that'll be viewing the recording. Hello to all of those out there that will also be listening at their leisure. And hello to Jen, Big Ben's Burners aboard, and obviously hello to Mr. Scarpino. And Ian is in as well. I think Ben said he would be a little bit late today. Holy shit, Rick. Mr. Holman. Mr. Holman is in. Holy shit, we have been honored with the presence of the Hall of Famer. We are doing well. It is good to have everybody. Just to kind of go over what we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. Obviously, Brian Flores is gone. We'll get into just how big that is, or maybe not how big it is. Everybody's got a little different perspective on that. This came as a total shock to all of you. I'm sure that Mason Rudolph really doesn't have any intent on coming back to Pittsburgh in the fall.
My shocked face.
Yeah, I was stunned when I saw that. But actually, it leads into the bigger discussion of exactly what's going to happen with these backup quarterbacks, because obviously, Mr. Rooney talked a little bit a couple weeks ago about Mitchell Trubisky. We expected to be there, so we'll talk about the backup situation. I'll throw it over to Ian and Ben when he gets here a little bit, because I do want them to explain a little bit about our salary cap situation. And I get the feeling people think we're going to have way more cap space than we are going to. That doesn't mean we can't create some, but I just get the feeling people think we're going to be out there just freewheeling and throwing money around too. And then, of course, we'll talk a little bit of Super Bowl in terms of who we would want to win and who all those kinds of things as well. So, Mr. Scarpino, you look very cozy as usual in your man cave. How are you tonight?
Doing pretty good. Cozy as can be.
You know what? This time of year, that's all you can ask for.
Snug really like is. A bug in a rug.
Bug in a rug, baby. And Ian, how are you?
I'm good. Can't complain, for a Wednesday night.
I know. It's a Wednesday. It's a hump day, as they say. It's very, very weird. But nevertheless, glad everybody's here. And, let's just get that out of the way, because I know Burner's going to want to know. Ian, what are you drinking tonight?
I made a little cocktail with this pineapple that my sister-in-law gave me, or gave us, I should say. The kids ate most of it for their bedtime snack, but I threw a couple in a glass with some mixed alcohols, and it's not too bad.
Oh, very nice.
Tequila and triple sec, it's almost like a margarita. Triple sec is the best mixer alcohol that there is.
You've said that, and I've got to add that to my collection, because my wife got me some bitters for Christmas this year, like 4 different types, and I got to start using those and everything. But right now I am just going with the Bradshaw bourbon.
It's a good choice.
We approach the Super Bowl. I figure what better time, and Scarps, what do you're going light tonight, or what do you got?
It's just water, yeah.
Okay, going water tonight.
Try to be half decent.
He's trying to hydrate.
So I'm the only asshole on this show.
This is triple sec is the wingman of all.
It's true. It's so good. You can mix it with anything,
right?
Except, well, maybe not whiskey, but basically it's orange liqueur. And it's 40 proof. It's not a whole lot of alcohol in it, but you just throw it into anything and it makes it better.
And Mr. Holman is having old granddad. Ian, have you heard of this?
I have. It's whiskey. It's
Okay.
yeah. It's pretty strong.
It's
At
terrible.
114 proof. Hello.
It's
it'll
terrible.
it'll make you grow some hair on your chest.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Believe me,
Or
I don't
burn
need
the entire
any more
inside
hair
out
on
of
my
you.
chest. And Burner is, of course, having some Bradshaw bourbon. And, and it's like I tweeted. Everybody thinks we talk about it because it's Terry Bradshaw. He's a Steeler. And oh, you got to get this stuff. It's actually good. We are pretty honest. If we didn't think it was good, we would tell you. But no, it is. It's really nice whiskey. So
And they unfortunately have not agreed to sponsor our show yet. So we're not even getting any royalties out of this. We're just saying that it's delicious.
We are. And I'm telling you right now, I am not giving up. I will continue to just put out little teasers there. And whoever is the social media person for Bradshaw Bourbon needs to kind of wake up.
If we can't get an American Top 40 deal, then we're definitely doing something wrong. So
right.
Just saying.
Man, what's Jen having? Homemade apple pie?
Is that like moonshine, or is
I
that
was going to say, is that moonshine, or is
pie?
that like a slice of pie?
Either is an acceptable choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds pretty good right about now.
Absolutely. My goodness. I think Jen's in Wisconsin, where homemade apple pie would be a big deal. They probably put a slice of cheddar cheese on.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah, some people do that.
Oh, it's very big up here. And over there too in Wisconsin, but I personally don't. I much prefer mine with a little scoop of vanilla ice cream. But she has just confirmed we are talking about the wrong pie. She's talking about moonshine.
Even better.
Copperhead Road.
Yeah. Copperhead
what a jam,
Road.
man.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Steve Earle. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk some Steelers here.
I guess that's the point of the show.
It is kind of. I'm 7 minutes in. I haven't really mentioned it yet. Brian Flores, not surprisingly, guys, he is taking the position of defensive coordinator with the Minnesota Vikings. We don't really know what other opportunities that were offered him. He did interview for, I believe, Denver, and he interviewed as the head coaching candidate in Arizona. And I don't really know how bad we'll miss him or if we will at all. I think there's arguments to be made one way or the other, but in terms of the job, let's say he had all three to choose from. I mean, you always take being a head coach in the NFL, don't you? But at the same time, I don't know about that job out there. There's a lot of downside, but I don't know. But Ryan, what does this do for the Steelers defense? I mean, does this leave a big hole in the coaching staff? Obviously they need a linebacker coach now, a senior defensive assistant. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I was just thinking about the linebacker coach. Jerry O is still the inside linebackers coach.
Right.
Flores was the outside linebackers?
No, I think it was just linebackers
generally
speaking.
Okay,
yeah.
So I mean, I got a variety of thoughts. First of all, I do think Brian Flores is a really good coach. I think he does a really good job. I think, and I know these are all like cliches, but like, he I say that, but our inside linebackers last year were terrible, right? And whether that's, I'm not going to say that's all Brian Flores' fault, but like I remember when they first got him, people were like, "Oh, he's gonna turn Devin Bush into a player again." And honestly, I don't blame that on Flores because like I think he was fighting an uphill battle. But like, I mean, I think arguably last year our best inside linebacker was Robert Spillane, and that's not saying much.
No argument.
As I've mentioned many times, he's a guy that can fix your heating and air conditioning needs. So I look at, okay, so all right, if Mike Tomlin talked about this on Ryan Clark's podcast, and I don't want to I don't want to put words in Mike T's mouth, but like I think that like I think the Steelers threw him a bone. I think it was, and we talked about this on the show. It was a win-win for both sides. You got the Steelers, picking up a guy that just so happens to be to sue the league,
right?
And then you got Flores. It's like, shit, I could coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers for a year and then see what happens. But I don't blame him at all one bit for leaving. I mean,
no,
look. What is it? What is even a senior defensive assistant? To me, it's a glorified title.
They essentially made the position up for Flores.
Yes,
I mean,
now if they said, hey, you're going to be our defensive coordinator, which meant Terrell Austin was going to go somewhere else, then maybe Flores would have stayed. But I also look at that if Flores was there 2 years and then got a head coaching job, the Steelers would have gotten 2 third-round compensatory picks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I only say this. That's very nice that you tried to help the guy out.
Mm-hmm.
But how many times have you heard Mike Tomlin say, this isn't charity? So, if you were going to keep him, you had to have figured out a way to coax him to staying here for another year. And obviously, TJ Watt, Micah Fitzpatrick and Cameron Hayward weren't enough to keep him here. So then I sit there and think okay, was it a glorified title? But then, did they even pay the guy? I don't know. There's a lot of There's a lot of questions to me that I'd like to know the answers to, and I doubt I'm ever going to. But I'm not going to sit here and say that it's a huge loss, but I think it's a loss. I mean, he's by far the most talented defensive coach on that was on the staff, and he's not there anymore.
No argument here.
So to say it, oh, it's not going to be a big deal, I strongly disagree with that. Not to mention, if you remember, I can't remember which game it was last year, but Brian Flores taught more about football to Kenny Pickett than our offensive coordinator did. So
that was the 2-minute drills in practice.
That's good.
Ian, I'm going to comment a little bit later on what Ryan was talking about there in terms of just that influence, but what are your general thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I'm going to go back in history a little bit here to Andrew Carnegie, who once said, and I'm paraphrasing, but smart people surround themselves with other smart people. And that's kind of the mark of a good leader, is that a good leader doesn't need a bunch of yes men around him or her, that a good leader surrounds themselves with other smart people that's willing to challenge them and also bring up other ideas, and that lifts the whole organization together. And as Ryan very astutely pointed out, Brian Flores was probably the best defensive mind in the building, possibly other than Mike Tomlin, because Tomlin has a defensive background, but definitely better than Terrell Austin's pedigree. So anytime you lose a really smart guy from the building, it's going to hurt. There's going to be a loss. And like you just talked about with Kenny Pickett, right? Flores's influence was more than just on the defense. We're losing a smart guy from the building. And Ryan's talked about how small that building is just from a, space standpoint, that people run into each other all the time. Those sidebar conversations happen all the time. So
definitely,
losing a smart guy from the building is going to hurt. But, there's other smart guys out there that, we can also find. And Tomlin's done an okay job of that in the past. I mean, Mike Munchak was a good hire. Todd Haley was a good hire. So we'll see what happens. Some of the other guys weren't so good of hires, but the running backs coach they brought in from Minnesota when Le'Veon Bell was a rookie,
James
Saxon.
Because he was in Minnesota when Adrian Peterson's first few years, and then he came to us and helped Le'Veon Bell a lot. So there have been guys that we have brought in. And then there's a lot of other, assistant coaches and position coaches that leave a lot to be desired. But I think losing a smart guy from the building hurts. But Ryan pretty much summarized a lot of my other thoughts too. So I'll leave it at that. There will be a loss, but it's not completely detrimental to the entire organization.
No, I mean, you're talking about a guy that's coached under Bill Belichick, a guy that's won Super Bowl rings as a coordinator, and has been a head
guy
coach.
who was a pretty damn good head coach and just got a shitty deal in Miami too.
Absolutely, Ian. Absolutely.
I mean, what, the year they were supposed to tank, didn't they go 7-9 or something?
Yeah,
like that, or 6-10? Like,
right?
They were trying to tank, and he was like, "Nope, we're gonna win games."
You know, and more power to him. Just to answer Jen's question, you know, she asked, was Flores the only Steelers coach watching the D linemen at the Senior Bowl? No, I mean, Tomlin was involved in that. I can't. What's his name? Grady was down there quite a bit with that group, and you know, let's also be honest here too. Flores had to have known one of two things. I'm either going to still be coaching with the Steelers, so great. I'm here. I'm watching the defensive kids that are here trying out. Or I'm going to be a coordinator, head coach for somebody else, and I still need to know who these young men are. So either way, he's doing his due diligence, as they say.
Yeah. And I mean, those coaches all share their notes. The Steelers coaches, after they all go and watch the players throughout the day, they probably go back to the bar and share their notes, go back to somebody's hotel room, share notes. So it's not like, Flores is the only one with observations. Tomlin's getting the notes that Flores took. And a lot of the Senior Bowl practices are recorded too. So they can even go back and watch the film of the practice afterwards. And we all know, I mean, to Ryan's point last week or the week before, like, Tomlin just loves this stuff. He loves the grind of it. And I'm sure Tomlin watched tape of the Senior Bowl practices because, like, he just loves that stuff.
Well, he does. And if you talk to any of these film junkies, they will flat out tell you that they miss stuff. And watching the film the way that they do, they pick up on things. Mm-hmm. Some of the best special teams coaches that I've ever seen always talk about when they self-scout. And then when they turn it around and they actually scout the opponent a little bit, they see things, and that's how punts get blocked, returns get set up, and so I have no doubt about that, Ian. I'm sure Tomlin probably watches it ad nauseum. I'd like to welcome in Mr. Ben Anderson to the show, giving us the peace sign. And Ben, are you still on the wagon tonight
till Sunday?
Wow, I don't know if I'm impressed, if I'm a bit sad. I don't know what to say. Anyway, we were just talking about the loss of Brian Flores heading up to Minnesota. And
I mean, we knew it was going to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was not a surprise. It was very much something that everyone expected. But what kind of impact did you think he had this past season, and what do you do now? Do you fill the void of senior defensive assistant, or was that just made up for him?
I think they need to add another linebackers coach,
mm-hmm.
And I think they will.
Joey Porter.
Probably not. Joey.
Well, they're going to draft his son.
Joey, as you know, was already a Steelers outside linebackers coach.
He was.
There were some PR issues when Joey was in town. And on top of that, the outside linebackers didn't perform real well when Joey was there.
Nothing good happens on the south side late at night.
We've all heard that. We've all heard that over and over again. Nothing good happens on the south side. Stay off Carson late at night. I've been out on Carson late at night, not had any problems. We went to a bar. I think I told Ryan about this once. We went to a bar on Carson, and they had this doghouse at the end of the bar. And my buddy says, that's not for a dog. And
this may have been an overtime thing. I would just like to mention.
It probably was. And a midget comes out and walks along the bar, and he starts pouring shots. It was the most Pittsburgh thing ever. And everyone's going, yeah, the midget's coming out. Yeah. I was just like, I looked at my buddy Drew, who brought us to that bar, and I was like, really? You brought me to a bar where you get shots poured by a midget. who comes out of a doghouse. He goes, yeah, okay.
Since we're discussing little people, I would like to credit Ian with a very funny dad.
I was going to say, speaking of midgets and doghouses.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The Titans released their secondary defensive backs coach, whose last name happens to be Midget. And Ian, what was your comment in the group chat this week?
I think I said something like he came up short of expectations or something like that. I'm the worst.
Oh, no.
I'm an asshole.
Whatever.
It's
fine.
Look, I apologize to all little people out there.
Right. Hey, Randy Newman wrote a song about it. Short people.
Yeah,
that's right. He
got sued for that.
Blame Randy Newman.
Randy Newman.
Yeah. So anyway, the South Side thing. Back to the linebackers. All right, let's talk about that. I think they're going to hire a linebackers coach. If they can grab a guy who's the quality of a Brian Flores, obviously they'll hire him. I don't think that guy is going to be available. I think that Tomlin pretty much probably expected that this guy, given the fact that he's head coach capable, was only going to be around for a year, and then he was gone. It sucks the Steelers don't get a comp pick for it. What the hell is ringing?
Ringing?
Somebody's furnace just turned on.
That's mine.
Is it? Hey, heating and air conditioning. I know.
That's right.
Robert
Better call Bobby
Spillane.
Spillane.
Call Bobby Spillane's heating and air. Well played, by the way, Big Ben's burner. Well played. Yeah, I was messing around with mock drafts today because I mean, let's be honest, they all suck. But I don't know, you get addicted to it.
They do all suck. They're dumb.
They are. Do they take a linebacker with one of the first 2 or 3 picks?
Depends who's available.
Depends whether or not they sign one.
Yeah.
Well, obviously the free agency thing is going to be big. It's going to dictate what they do in the draft. But I mean, there's it's not a real deep.
Speaking of short
draft.
people, what if there was a short linebacker from Michigan and he was available? What do you think they'd trade up to get him?
Depends if he ran like a 4.2 40 or not.
Or never showed up in big games in college.
Ouch.
Well, that's pretty much Michigan in general.
Well, I mean, he stomped on the Michigan State logo. I mean, that was
right,
which is actually pretty in line with what the Steelers defense has done over the past couple years. All bark and no bite.
Very much so,
especially in the postseason. I'm being a little rude, but that Devin Bush pick really annoyed the shit out of me.
I don't know, man. They led the league in sacks for 5 years.
Oh, that's great.
They led the league in picks this year. They did some good things where and I argued with Alan Saunders this week about it. He's like, well, they were much better against the run. No, they weren't, because they gave up a whole bunch of first downs via the run. Way too many. They're not a good run defense, even though statistically they're not awful. They're just not good, in my opinion. Again, because of the frequency with which they gave up first downs and let teams extend drives on them using the run specifically. The thing that's missing from the passing defense is the fact that Watt was hurt all goddamn year, and they did not come close to leading the league in sacks. They only had 40 sacks this year. The previous 5 years, they had between 52 and 56 and led the fucking league. And that's a huge difference.
Did they get 16 in the first and last game?
14.
14.
Okay, it was like a huge chunk of that was
14.
Was the last game.
Cincinnati and then Cleveland in the end. The Bush pick, what would people have been saying had we not gotten a linebacker in that draft, though? I mean,
they would have
been pissed.
Complete failure by Kevin Colbert, because and think about it, it goes back, right? And we've talked about this before. I know I'm rehashing old history, but Ryan Shazier got hurt.
Right. And that was where it all started.
Right. That was where it started. And before Shazier got hurt, I think they were giving up like 15 or 16 points a game. And after Shazier got hurt that year, that number ballooned to like 23 points a game. They gave up a touchdown more per game after Shazier got hurt.
Yep.
And then the following year, they didn't address the inside linebacker position at all in the draft and didn't really do anything with it. and we're just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll be fine. And weren't fine at all.
Fine.
And I mean, was that the year that we had Keenan Allen?
No, that was
No?
18.
That was 18.
No,
that would have been right then. Yeah, because
Shazier got hurt in
got hurt in
17.
Shazier got hurt
17.
in 16, right? 16 or 17?
17.
17.
Shazier got hurt in 17. So 18 was the Keenan Allen year.
Oh, the Vince Williams on Keenan
talking
Allen. the whole
about Vince
time.
on Keenan.
Yeah.
That was 18. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it was John Bostic on Keenan Allen. But at any rate,
right.
and LJ Fort, you know.
It was
Bostic's still in the league.
It was Vince Williams too, but
yeah. Okay. At any rate, right? They went into that year. They signed with John Bostic and LJ Fort, and they were like, "Oh yeah, these two guys will be fine at inside linebacker." And no, they weren't. So then going into the 19 draft, which was the year they drafted Devin Bush, they were like, "Well, we completely ignored inside linebacker last year." So they signed Mark Barron in free agency and traded up to draft Devin Bush, thinking that would help solve their inside linebacker issues. And lo and behold, it didn't. But yeah, you know, they tried to piecemeal something the year before and it didn't work through free agency.
Would we say though that he played well his rookie year though? I mean, I'm not saying great.
Honestly, I felt like he was on a good trajectory before his knee injury.
Yeah. Okay, that's a better way of saying it. Yeah,
I would say that I don't necessarily know if he played great. Because it was a rookie, but he just so happened to be around the ball every single time it came loose. Like he was just like
he flashed.
Just. I mean, it was this. I mean, that was also the same year that we traded for Minka, and Minka was every time that ball was loose, like Minka was there. Like it was either Devin Bush or Minka on every turnover. So like, I think that might have skewed what we actually thought of him as a rookie, but we thought of him as a playmaker, right?
Yeah.
Like
I mean, he had his rookie year. He had 2 picks, 4 passes defended.
Yeah.
4 fumble recoveries, and 109
year,
tackles. Yeah, and 109 tackles.
He was all over the place, and he was more aggressive. He was more assertive. And since he had the ACL, he's never flashed.
Yeah,
he's never been a guy that you're like, okay, he was almost there. He was never even almost.
Yeah,
you know,
he had his problem as a rookie was he overran things. He was so aggressive that he flew to things and got beat on cutbacks. And I remember after his rookie year, we were kind of like, if he can just learn to control his speed a little bit, he'll be a really good player. And then he had the knee injury, and then he was just afraid of contact for the last 2 years.
And that's my question. Do we sometimes take for granted that these players will just, he's got an ACL, he'll be back? I mean, do we sometimes take it for granted that not all these guys come back the same way?
Sure.
I mean, sometimes it's
we absolutely do. I think.
I mean, look. Sorry, Ben. Go ahead.
No, to Ian's point about him running past the point of contact early in his career, it seemed to me like he was getting over that before he blew his knee out. Ultimately, then after he came back, he wasn't.
Yeah,
I don't want to say he wasn't aggressive because that's the wrong way to put it. He had moments where that ability flashed again and he made plays. He just wasn't able to get there as fast anymore. I don't know if he lost explosive ability or what the hell the deal was. Just isn't the same player, and he's awful in coverage ever since the knee injury. He's terrible.
Yeah, no,
and we thought that when he came back, he would pick up right back on that same trajectory, maybe a little behind, but he'd pick up on it and go up. And he didn't.
And as our wonderful fans have pointed out in the chat, about he never once said or did the right thing, and he had every opportunity to do so.
And he was probably coached to do it.
Every opportunity
still didn't fucking
to do
do
so.
it.
No,
he could have flipped the script and flipped the narrative and used it to his advantage. And people would still be like, he's just not playing like a first round pick. But you know what? The moment he started saying the dumbest shit and retweeting videos
of cats being dropped off fucking 6. Yeah.
Telling you that everybody called him a bust. Like it was just like that.
Yeah.
Like and that's what I don't understand. Like and then his dad calling up 93.7 The Fan and trying to like holy shit. Like what are we doing?
I wish him well. I don't know that he'll ever, amount to anything more than just your run-of-the-mill linebacker, but I think he needs a fresh start somewhere else.
Even Devin White had a bad season last year.
Yeah, right.
They're talking about cutting him now. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, come on.
This is a young linebacker, and you're going to cut him because you have cap problems, and that's the guy you're going to target?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's the much better Devin. But
that's why he went 5th overall. And really, those were the
Absolutely.
only 2 linebackers in that class. And remember, since we're talking about this, let's not forget the year before there were 4 first-round linebackers, and the Steelers sort of had their eyes on Leighton Vander Esch, but really liked Rashaan Evans. And both of those guys went off the board before we picked and didn't have a chance to get them. So,
they liked Evans. Well, Tomlin liked Evans. Better than anybody because he saw a guy similar to Timmons who could play inside outside.
Underrated.
Timmons was a great first-round pick. That's everything you want out of a first-rounder.
He's not going to be a Hall of Famer, but you got a decade out of the guy. He was a foundational type pick.
Yep.
That is what you want. Cam Hayward,
Yep.
borderline Hall of Famer. Might make it, might not, but he's been a 10-year player. He's 33. He's still highly productive. That's an outstanding first-round pick.
Yep.
Yeah, for every Artie Burns you have really good players. And no disrespect to Artie, but like sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't. But like, I mean, shit. Lawrence Timmons, right? 10-year player. Marquise Pouncey, pretty much a 10-year player, and he would even. I think it would have been 10 full years if he didn't.
Too bad injuries
from injuries, but De Castro, that's the thing. This team has put together some nice drafts, right?
Yeah.
Like, not even talk about the 74 draft. Like this team has done well. So yeah, you can hope that they build that again, but there's new sheriffs in town. I don't know how this is all going to unfold. So.
Yeah, things are going to change. Obviously, hopefully the methodology will remain roughly the same. Colbert. He gave his endorsement to Andy Weidel on his way out. We'll see what happens there. My question again is, who ultimately is going to have the pick? Like before, if there was a question, if there was disagreement, Kevin Colbert had the final vote. Yep. So his vote was basically 2. Okay. Like if there was a tie, Kevin was the tiebreaker. Who's that guy now? I mean,
honestly, I think it's Tomlin. I think it's Tomlin.
I think it's Tomlin too. I agree with you.
Agree.
I think it's Tomlin at this point. I mean, Omar Khan is not a film guy. Andy Weidel doesn't have a lot of history with a team. Art isn't really a football guy.
I Tomlin 100%.
I'm not going to say 100%, but I'm like 99.
Well, okay. Fair enough. Just a quick reminder that you should download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TPPN. New customers can bet $5 on Super Bowl 57 and get $200 in free bets instantly only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code TPPN, which of course stands for the Pigskin Podcast Network, which we are very pleased to be a part of. One of the other topics I wanted to cover tonight was backup quarterback, because as we all know, it's a very exciting position. Not really.
Usually the most popular position on a team.
Yeah, it is.
I have an interesting take on this.
Well, I just what I wanted to throw out there was big shocker that Mason isn't interested in coming back. Trubisky, despite what AR2 has said, that we expect him to be back. I mean,
you're getting pretty good at that, Mark.
I do some voices.
Okay,
I do a few voices.
Okay.
I'll keep my trump to myself though. In any case, so I mean, this team very well could be looking at a situation where it's Kenny Pickett and nobody else for a brief moment of time. So with that said, and Ben, I'll throw it to you first because it sounds like you got a take here. What's the script going to be here?
Wait a minute, is Rick on the chat?
Yeah.
Hi, Rick.
Oh yeah.
I think that Mitch wants out. I think that I suspect. I don't think, because I don't really know. I don't know anybody who knows him well enough to be able to tell me. I suspect that if the Steelers go to him and say, "Hey, $8 million is too much to be a backup," you take a cut to like 5, he's going to say, "Nah, you can cut me. I'm not taking a pay cut." And they'll consider their options there. $8 million is really rich for a backup quarterback. $5 million is too rich for a backup quarterback in my mind, but whatever. Yeah. They go a little high to try and keep him because they like him. You've got a history of concussions with Pickett too this year. You got a young quarterback. If he misses time, you like having a guy in there who knows the offense, knows the players, knows the personnel, blah, blah, blah. So you want some continuity, but if they can't keep him, I kind of wonder if they aren't going to make Scarpino really happy and bring back Mason Rudolph. Try to say, "Hey, Mason, we'll pay you this much money," because Mason's not going to have a real robust market. Let's be frank. He's not. Okay.
I don't think so.
I know that, there's speculation that Mason's in a good position to go out there and be a starter someplace or have a really plumb backup role. That's bullshit. Okay. Mason has not performed well. Last year, he was not active for a single game. The guy, he doesn't have a lot. He doesn't have a robust market, in my opinion. Now, I could be wrong. There could be some team out there who sees him as something more than I do, but I doubt it. So, again, my point is just that I think Mason might languish on the market for a little while, and the Steelers might be able to come back and go, "Hey, you made $3.5 million last year. What if we paid you $4 million to come back and be our backup?"
Let me go back to something you said about the cost. Let's say they did say, "Hey, Mitch, we want to redo your deal, $5 million." What kind of money is he going to get if he goes to any of the other 31 teams?
Honestly, like $1 or $2 million is probably the cap for a backup quarterback. I mean, I tweeted a glimpse behind the madness of my spreadsheets earlier this week of all the quarterback deals. And pretty much, I'll say a vast majority of the backup quarterback deals are expiring this year. So, there are going to be opportunities for a lot of these guys to either get new deals or move around. But I mean, if you look last year, other than Trubisky, who became a backup, but the guys who were truly signed to backup quarterback contracts, they were pretty much all under $5 million for a year, right? You're looking at like Teddy Bridgewater at 4.5, Jacoby Brissett at 4.7. A lot of them were in the $1 to $2 million range. I guess Taylor Heineke was at 1 year, $5 million, but and he actually looked decent when he started for Washington. Yeah. So, but a lot of these guys are going to be free agents too. So, I think for Mason, there's a lot of pieces that need to fall into place. I think from Mitch's standpoint, if he could just stay and make $8 million and hold a clipboard, like that's a pretty good life, right?
It is, and it would actually be the most money he's ever made in 1 year.
Yeah.
If he decided to stick it out. And the flip side of it, something I didn't discuss before, is the Steelers really like the way he handled himself after he got demoted. They really like the work he puts in with Kenny Pickett and the time that he invests with him during games, sitting there with the Microsoft Surface and going, "Okay, here's what I saw. What did you see?" Going back and forth. And they think that Pickett's benefited by that. So it may just, in the end, what I just said may get thrown out the window. They may not bring Rudy back at all, may not make any effort. And they may just say, "Well, I guess we can't make him take a pay cut. It is what it is. We got to decide to keep him or let him go, and we kind of need him, so we're going to just pay him the $8 million and bite the bullet."
Scarps.
The other option, just to throw this out there, is they could offer Trubisky an extension, which I realize doesn't really help him get out on the market anymore. Right. But if you say like, hey, we'll give you, a $6 million signing bonus for a 2-year deal, or something like that, to stretch out the
voided years or something
like that. You stretch out the cap hit a little bit. Yeah.
Maybe.
And that's actually the other point, though, that I was thinking about was, Kevin and Dan Rooney were always against the voided years on contracts. I realized they did it Ben's last year because they wanted to make one last run at it, and the COVID thing kind of screwed everything up with the salary cap. But organizationally, the Steelers had been opposed to doing the void years thing for a while. But, as we've said on the show, Art's not Dan and Omar's not Kevin. So I don't know if they start to go down and look at those voided year routes and things that happen. But yeah, there's a lot of other quarterbacks that Mitch would have to compete against on the market if he were to hit free agency right now too.
So Scarps, if you're Mason, would you even entertain coming back to Pittsburgh?
It wouldn't be my first. It wouldn't be my first. It wouldn't be right. I mean, it would not be my first choice, but also, see what's out there. Listen, you could all sit there, you could bust my stones, and that's fine because I do support the guy. He's been nothing. He's handled everything well throughout his whole career. Seems like a really good teammate.
We all agree that he's a good person. He just sucks as a quarterback.
Okay, that okay. So you say that, okay, and that's fine. You say that, okay, but he has better he has better numbers than Kenny Pickett does through the same amount of playing time.
He doesn't inspire anyone. He doesn't do anything in the red zone. When it comes down to it, you know what makes Pickett better and more valuable at this point is that when it comes down to it at the end of the game, and you need somebody to have the ball in his hands and win the fucking game, he's done it. Mason can't fucking do that. Mason cannot fucking do that. Mason, in his last significant effort, tied a team 16-16 that had DBs that were on the street the week before.
Yeah, because Mason fumbled and not Deontay.
Oh, fuck, whatever. Mason threw 2 picks and should have thrown a third. All right, it got dropped.
Should have thrown 4. I was at that game. I think Mark was at. Mark, were you at that game too?
No, thank God I was not.
There were like
he was terrible. He was fucking awful.
I'm pretty sure up until their opening touchdown
in overtime, I guess his teammates got tired and they fucked up too. He fucked up. That game never should have gone to OT.
They went right down the field on the first drive. He threw a touchdown to James Washington. Opening drive touchdown. Did he give up 200 yards on the ground to a bunch of scrubs?
Again, he was throwing against guys that were on the street the week before. He should have thrown
for 400 yards.
He should have thrown for 400 fucking yards, not for 2 picks.
When you don't like a player, you don't don't listen to any other thing.
I don't dislike him. I think he sucks.
No. So
the funny thing sucks.
It's all good. It's all good. Anyway, get back to the point. If I'm Mason, I want to go somewhere else.
Do other podcasts even come close to allowing people to disagree?
Yes,
I'm just curious.
They fucking should.
They should. It's what I fucking love about our show.
That's fine. You don't like him. That's fine. I
don't like him as a quarterback.
That's fine.
Do I think he's a bad guy?
I'm not even saying I like him. I'm not even saying I like him as a quarterback. I just think
he sucks as a quarterback.
He never nobody ever gives the dude the benefit of the doubt when people go out of their way to talk about, it's not Kenny Pickett's fault that so-and-so dropped the ball.
I don't know.
It's not Kenny Pickett's fault. He fucking threw it right to the other guy.
When the guy is a starter and the defense gives him 5 turnovers in San Francisco and he can't even fucking win that game, sorry. The guy is not going to generate a lot of goodwill.
Hey, James Conner fumbled in that game and in the huge play. But
other guys made mistakes, but he also threw three fucking picks that game. No, I'm sorry.
You know what the longest Steelers play is in the last 4 or 5 years? That 70-something yard touchdown from Mason to Juju.
Oh,
yeah.
In Frisco.
Juju had 2 97-yard touchdowns.
Right.
That was in 18, so that was the 19 was Frisco.
Year,
I'm just trying to rub it. I'm just trying to get under Ben's skin. But anyway, if I'm Mason, I definitely want to go somewhere else, and I'd be careful if I was the Steelers, because like if they would maybe sign Taylor Heineke's better than Kenny Pickett. So I don't want to put too much pressure on the young first round pick.
Honestly, I mean, if they can steal Jacoby Brissett,
Yeah, Jacoby Brissett would be a great.
I'm just playing.
I mean,
Taylor Heineke's actually not that bad.
He
but
doesn't
yeah.
have the experience in the offense that Pickett's got. But if for some reason Pickett got hurt, was out for a couple of games, and Brissett came in and played well.
And we want Brissett because that was Canada's guy at NC State.
Nah.
Wow.
Wow, what a call.
Connecting of the dots.
Nah, I want him because I watched him play. I watched him play this year, and he's smart and he's calm.
He did pretty good
yes.
against the Steelers.
And
He does a nice job.
he's not a great quarterback, but he's better than average. He's
kind of that Charlie
he's a
Batch
damn
kind
good
of
backup.
vibe, right? That,
Wasn't Jalen
he's
Samuels
smart and calm.
on that
He's not
NC
gonna
State
lose
team?
games.
Bring him back.
Who?
I said, wasn't Jalen Samuels on that NC State team? Bring him back too.
Sure.
Yeah. Hey,
Get
I
the
have
old gang back together. Let's go.
I have one more point about the cap and free agency stuff too.
Yeah.
The Steelers have some decisions to make in like the next 6 weeks here.
Yep.
So like mid March, like by the time we do a show on March 23rd, we'll know some things. Assuming we do a Thursday show that week. But like, so just keep these dates in mind, right? We pretty much all know that William Jackson III is gonzo, but March 19th he's due a $2.5 million roster bonus. Deontay Johnson on March 20th is due a $2.5 million roster bonus. So if they're gonna restructure or something with DJ, like March 20th is kind of their drop dead date there. March 21st, Mason Cole's due a $1.5 million roster bonus, and then March 22nd, Chuks Okorafor is due a $4 million roster bonus. So like that's what, $10 million? Yeah, $10.5 million, give or take, that they're scheduled to give out basically in that third week of March.
I think they're going to be two moves that are made right away. One,
so
they're going to restructure. They're going to restructure TJ Watt.
Yes, that's
and
absolutely happening.
They can generate about $10 million in space, and then they're going to cut William Jackson III. That's another $12.5 million.
Yep.
Now you've generated $22.5 million. You had about $1 million going in. Now you're at $23 million.
Yeah.
You have enough space now to sign your free agents, your own free agents, and to sign your draft class.
Yeah.
Without a problem. Okay. Then if you want to create some more space to be able to play around in the second wave of free agency, then you go ahead and you restructure some guys like your DJs and some other guys.
Yeah. Your Cam Haywards, your Miles Jacks.
I don't think that Cam's going to get I hope he doesn't get restructured because he's going to.
Well, no. For Cam, I think they should do an extension with
add some voidable years. Yeah, because
Yes.
he's going to be 35 at the end of this contract. I don't think you can do an extension, not a real one.
No,
it'd have to be a fluff one like they did with Palomalu at the end.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm just saying they've got some choices to make, or they're going to hand out $10 million in cash that week. And
and when I brought that up at the top, just agenda wise about that, I get the feeling that people think that we have this just tremendous amount of cap space to be signing.
We have $1 million right now.
We don't, and
we have
a lot
$1
of it,
million in space right now.
A lot of the things,
a little bit over that.
Yeah, it's all going to be based on the decisions that Ian just laid out, and then from there.
Again, it's just those first two moves we talked about, and then from there, they can have guys sign addendums. They've done it before, where they forego that roster bonus until for 30 days or something.
Oh, that's right.
They just kind of give them a wink nod. They're like, listen, you're going to get your money.
Yep.
We're not cutting you. We want you to sign this so we can pay you next month so we can decide whether or not we want to restructure your contract and give you more money when we pay you or just pay you this $1.5 million. What do you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
since they haven't fucked any players over, they'll get them to sign that.
Well, and the other thing to keep an eye on too is I know we're saying, we only have $1 million in cap space. There's 14 teams right now that are in the negatives, up to like the Bucks at $55 million over and the Saints at $60 million over. Like, there's going to be a lot of restructures and cuts and all this other stuff that's going to happen, over the next few months. That there's going to be some good players available too. So
absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of good players, the Super Bowl is coming up this Sunday. Believe it or not, they are going to fit in a football game around the commercials, 18 hours of pregame, halftime with Rihanna and who knows who else, but they will have time for some football. Here's the question. Scarps, I'll start with you. One reason why you would want the Kansas City Chiefs to win. One reason.
Because Mark Madden will have a shit fit.
That's a good reason.
That's a pretty good fucking reason.
What, that Juju would have a ring?
Yep.
Oh man, that's a really good question.
One reason.
You know what? I'm gonna give it to Big Red, and I think Andy Reid is he just seems like a really. All right, Andy Reid has always gotten that he never could win the big game, and this will be 2 times now. And I know he has probably definitely has the best quarterback in the league, but arguably already one of the greatest quarterbacks in league history. So I think it'd be cool to see Andy Reid win another.
Okay, very good. Ian, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to go with Andy Reid food analogies in a post-game press conference, but Ryan kind of stole my thunder. So I'll just say that Patrick Mahomes is super fun to watch play. And, it's hard to dislike Patrick Mahomes when you watch him play football, and he's fun to watch. And, maybe we won't have to hear about Brady ever again if Patrick Mahomes wins a few more.
Fair. Ben, one reason why you'd like to see the Kansas City Chiefs win?
There are a couple of players that played high school football in Pittsburgh area that would win rings. So there's that. Yeah. Juju obviously would win a ring. That'd be nice. Beyond that, I don't really. I mean, I hope the Chiefs win, but I don't think they're going to.
Okay, we'll get into predictions and stuff later. Scarps, so a reason why you would want to see the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl. One reason.
So he likes jackasses celebrating after they fucking win a championship.
I think I want the Eagles to win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
To prove that you can fire a head coach that won a Super Bowl, bring in a new head coach, and in a matter of 4 years, is it 4 years? 5 years, whatever, that you can win Super Bowls by not having the same coach.
Are you saying that Nick Sirianni is winning with Doug Peterson's players?
No, I said that on Twitter.
And I never said that Tomlin won with Cowher's players, but I am saying that when you even remotely suggest that, maybe Tomlin isn't the perfect fit for the Steelers anymore, you're like, oh, you're Rich Eisen calling us dumb. Dave Damashek saying we laugh at you. Joy Taylor saying, yeah, my boy Mike T did it again. What did he do, Joy? Right. He didn't have a losing season anyway. So that literally would be the epitome of the opposite of how the Steelers have operated.
It's an interesting take. Yeah. Okay. Ian, one reason why you would like to see the Philadelphia Eagles win.
I'd like to see the Eagles win because Jalen Hurts has 1 year left on his rookie deal, and winning the Super Bowl would mean they'd have to pay him a fuck ton of money, which would mean some of their other good players they couldn't re-sign and would hit the free agent market.
Very fair.
And they would become a cash-strapped or a cap-strapped team for.
Oh yeah, it's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah,
but it's coming. But like, if they don't win the Super Bowl, if they just get there, they probably they might not have to pay him as much. But it's the Joe Flacco situation where if you win a Super Bowl, it's like, oh shit, we got to fucking pay you now.
I mean, I don't know. They paid Dak.
Well, that was Dallas. Jerry Jones. I mean, you can't.
I'm just saying that like they paid Kyler Murray.
Yeah, that was stupid.
That's
No, Ian, I
They
totally agree
blinked.
with you, but I totally agree with you. But they also pay guys that don't even make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think that the
there's
Eagles.
there's a big difference between Dak getting like 4 years, 160 million, and Kyler Murray getting 5 years, 230 million. Like
Plus free
pay-
Call of Duty.
Yeah, paying a guy $250 million to be your quarterback is an insane amount of money.
Yeah.
And
Well, I am immunized,
so I'm
getting traded. So
I'm just
Dak.
saying.
Ben,
tangent here. Rodgers. Well, I'm going to go on my darkness retreat. I'm going to lock myself in a room for.
I cannot wait to find out more about what the hell this
for
thing is.
4 straight days, and
Is he in a cave or is he in a hotel room? What the hell is he at? A darkness retreat. What the hell does that mean?
Who cares?
Well, actually, I gouge my own eyes out.
Exactly.
I
douchebag.
stay at the Holiday Inn Express outside Milwaukee, where Jeffrey Dahmer may have stayed as well.
Ben, one reason you would like to see the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
I need help.
I wouldn't.
Well, that goes without saying.
I think that people don't the people don't really realize that the reason that Eagles fans and Cowboys fans hate each other so much is they're so alike. They're very similar. They're fucking obnoxious. I mean, they are the fucking worst. Unfortunately, the Eagles led the league with 70 sacks, as Scarps has pointed out numerous times. The Steelers, just to put this in context, led the league for 5 years with between 52 and 56 sacks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of those seasons included a 17-game season. They had 56 sacks. And the Eagles had 70 this year.
Third time in NFL history a team had 70+ sacks.
Okay, when you consider that, the 70 sacks and that pass rush, and the fact that Mahomes has got that fucking ankle and was gimpy as hell and almost got caught a number of times by the Bengals defense, which isn't close to as good as far as the pass rush goes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it ending well for Kansas City this time. Unless he's had some kind of a miraculous recovery, but 2 weeks just isn't long enough for a high ankle sprain.
Right.
That's a 4 to 6 week injury. If it was regular season, he wouldn't even be playing. So I don't see it. And yeah, Eagles fans can kiss my ass. The only thing that Philly's got going for it is cheesesteaks.
Yeah, every fan base has assholes, but Philadelphia, my
Not
God.
Steelers fans. I mean, come on. They're always so
Perfect.
polite.
Yeah, I mean, that goes without saying.
And well-spoken and then knowledgeable.
Absolutely.
And not at all, pie in the sky, sunshine.
No.
Or super negative and prone to using hyperbole when describing things because they're pissed off. It's a team lost. That never happens with Steelers
Don't forget
fans.
to define hyperbole, by the way.
They're always so calm and collected and reflective on what took place.
So I guess I have to give mine. If one reason I would want to see Kansas City win the Super Bowl, I like Mahomes. It's hard not to like Patrick Mahomes.
How about his wife?
I didn't say his wife. In fact, that leads me.
His wife and brother haven't been as annoying this year.
No, the brother hasn't been anywhere.
Yeah,
that's like that reminds me of that Married with Children episode with the fucking teacher who was really awful, and it was the daughter's teacher who was terrible and gave her a bad grade. Bundy walks up to her and he says, "You're looking less ugly than usual today."
That was a great show. Very underrated. But that leads me though to why I would want one reason I would want the Eagles to win is so that Mahomes' wife gets into a fight with the daughter of the Hunt family. Because they have to both be vying for Patrick's attentions. If you haven't noticed, she's quite popular, I guess, on social media. And anyway. But I
haven't noticed. I'll be honest. Every once in a while I'll see a picture of Mahomes' wife and I'll make sure I post it because God damn, she's obnoxious. Oh my God.
She is. And I do give him credit because, like I said, the brother has not been around this season. So he's obviously said, hey, enough. And
I'll give you $1 million to shut the fuck up.
Maybe it could have been. It could have been.
Or it's all a ploy, and it's like, you take all the negative criticism, and I'll just go over here and play football.
Right. Scarpino, give me a prediction for the game this week.
As I said a couple weeks ago on the show, the Philadelphia Eagles were going to get in that ass in the NFC Championship game.
Get in that ass.
And they did. And they hurt Brock Purdy, and it was just all downhill from there. I do not expect this to be like that Tampa Super Bowl a couple years ago with the Chiefs, but I have the Eagles comfortably by 10 the entire way, and they ultimately win 31-24.
Very good.
Wow.
Ian, your prediction.
So I saw a tweet earlier this week that I thought was pretty spot on, which said the Eagles are better at every position on the field than the Chiefs are, except the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. And I think that's pretty true.
Gimpy.
He is gimpy.
But it's still Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he was gimpy against the Bengals. Granted, the Eagles' pass rush is better. I agree with Ryan. I think, 70 sacks in a season only being done 3 times.
Nuts.
I think the Eagles are going to control the game on the ground. And I do, I didn't say this in one reason why I like the Eagles, but damn, it's fun to watch a team run the ball well. I mean, yeah,
it is, man. It is.
For all the passing that happens in the game, and half the Steelers jerseys I own in my closet are of wide receivers, but I'm a run the ball and play defense kind of guy.
Yeah.
And damn, the Eagles are fun to watch. They run the ball well, they play defense well. I freaking hate that they're from Philadelphia. I hate that they're fans of the same people that chant Crosby sucks at Flyers games. I can't stand their fan base. That being said, Jalen Hurts has never won a Super Bowl. Nick Sirianni's never won a Super Bowl. So if you're saying Ben Roethlisberger won 2, and this would be 2 for Mahomes, or Mike Tomlin's got 1, and Reed's got 1, and Sirianni's got none. You don't want to see Steelers people get past. Then you can talk yourself into rooting for the Eagles. Ultimately, I think the Eagles control the clock a lot with their ground game. I think Mahomes makes some miraculous throws to keep the game close. I think it's going to be I don't think the Eagles cruise by 10 the whole game. I think it'll be close.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately the Eagles pass rush gets it done in a final drive and stops the Chiefs. So I'm going to go Eagles 27, Chiefs 23.
Okay, 4-point spread. What is the spread right now, by the way? Eagles 2.5?
Not sure.
1.5.
I don't know.
1.5? Oh, wow.
1.5?
Oof. Man, I'd be all over that. Ben, what's your prediction?
I agree with Ryan. I think
see, we can get along.
Yeah, I think that
all just get along.
It's not going to be close for most of the game. I expect that the Eagles will allow the Chiefs to score some points in garbage time, and that it'll be 34-24, 34-27, something like that. But it won't be that close in reality. They'll have a comfortable lead most of the game, and the last 5-6 minutes they'll just be like, yeah, we're just going to go into prevent. We don't care. We're winning.
I really, really, really want to see Kansas City find a way to do this, but
so do I.
There's a couple of things that are Jalen Hurts. Going back to his college career, how many big games has he won? Because he got replaced by Tua in the title game, right? Is that accurate? and then was his backup the following year, and then went to Oklahoma. And granted, last week, I don't know that he really had to do a whole lot because San Francisco basically had me playing quarterback. The biggest thing I'm worried about is him if I'm the Eagles, because I need him to get off to a good start.
Well, I'll tell you what, if the Eagles don't win,
well,
they took a massive gamble. They have 6 or 7 contracts that are expiring because they voided this year. They basically put all their chips into the middle to try and win a Super Bowl this year. And these are guys that all play, 90, not all of them. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that void that play 90% plus of the snaps. And their contracts are voided.
This is a huge one in that regard. You're right. I think the Eagles find a way to get it done. I'm with you guys. Games are won and lost in the trenches. That defensive line is just freaking nuts. And I think it's going to be ultimately like 27-20, something like that. But I look for a good game in any case. At least I hope so. Henry 10 asks, "Are we stopping Casey Kasem?" No,
actually,
we
he
are
specifically said, "Don't stop doing Casey Kasem."
Right, and believe me, we are not. And so, as we close this
we
program,
may need you to write some letters, you listeners at home.
Yeah, we may need that because we're running out of material. No, I don't know.
We will never run out of material.
No, I know we won't. After last week, I was convinced we will never run out of material. So, with that said, it's now time for Casey Kasem's American Top 40.
Casey's Coast to Coast American Top 40. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week that was February 8th, 1980. Ryan for Pittsburgh writes, "Dear Casey, I am just a new boy, stranger in this town. Where are all the good times? Who's going to throw this stranger a touchdown? Ooh, Casey, I need a dirty woman." Having a little fun there with Pink Floyd's Young Lust off of their double album, The Wall, released in 1979. That has been 23 times platinum. It was a good year for Pittsburgh in 1979. The Pirates won the World Series. We are family. The Steelers won the Super Bowl, team of the decade. The Pirates have never recovered. The Steelers, despite winning 2 more Super Bowls, are skating on the thin ice of modern life, dragging behind them the silent reproach of a million tear-stained eyes. I'm serious, Casey. How much longer can the Steelers hang on to the past? Perhaps I'm being too harsh. They did, after all, make a forward-thinking move by retaining Matt Canada. Goodbye, cruel world. I'm leaving you today. Casey, did you know that both the Chiefs and Eagles have scored exactly 546 points this year in 19 games? That's 28.7 points per contest. The Steelers would need to score 10 more points in every single game to match.
Yeah, but that's all.
Steelers Twitter told me that the Steelers averaging 28 points per game next season isn't that big of a stretch. I mean, how can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat?
Wow.
Canada.
Nice.
Matt Canada has neither pudding nor meat. He's the guy that shows up at the Pink Floyd show, but left his tickets and wallet at home. Perhaps I'd feel differently if his philosophy was run like hell. But Casey, it doesn't matter what we think. The show must go on. I have become comfortably numb. Well, Ryan, I got some bad news for you, sunshine. Pink isn't well. He stayed back at the hotel, but you are in luck. Moving up 19 spots this week to number 32, here's Pink Floyd with Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2. If there's any Pink Floyd fans listening, I dropped a lot in there. So
that's a tremendous ode to Pink Floyd. I just hope Mr. Floyd's listening somewhere. That's all I can tell you. That's fantastic. Wow,
that was great.
That was good.
Well,
That was good stuff.
we went into the whole second half of the season and how the Steelers were very much improved, going from 15.1 points per game to 20.8 points per game.
Right.
Which, even if they'd scored 20.8 points per game, 20.88 points per game for the entire season, still would have left them at 19th scoring offense in the NFL, which isn't even fucking average. So yes, I'm still angry that they kept fucking Matt Canada. And that's the end of my rant.
It's going to be all new, man. I'm telling you, this is his year.
Fuck off.
Just want to say, and the other choice I had for tonight's was 1983, and I believe it was the 27th hit that week, and it was "Separate Ways" by Journey.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh.
But
1983 quarterback draft was something special too.
Wow.
But I'm not giving up yet on Matt Canada. Okay.
Okay.
Boy.
Whatever.
Okay.
Because Jacoby Brissett's coming here, and he was with him at NC State.
Ryan Scarpino, patron saint of lost causes.
It's actually St. Jude, but that's the Catholic in the room.
You know, Scarpino, St. Jude, same.
It's all the same.
I know that because my wife got me a little statue of St. Jude for my desk at work because he's the patron saint of lost causes. So, you know, yeah.
I'm willing to bet Matt Canada has one on his desk too.
You should get him. They should get him one.
Hey, thanks everybody. Next week we're going to be doing our annual Blitzies. Those are our year-end awards.
It's my first Blitzies. Let's get it.
Scarp's first Blitzies will cover, the usuals, the MVP and all those wonderful things, but we'll have a few quirky awards as well.
Maybe we should ask the listeners to vote on which was the drunkest episode.
I think
Next
SCB overtime.
Anyone that says overtime on it.
The overtime that Mark didn't make.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the one, wasn't it?
I'm still fighting off messages from the FCC.
That was a good one.
We just basically, if you remember the Dundies episode of The Office, this is our version of it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
The feds tapped my phones after that at SC overtime.
Anyway, thanks so much. Make sure you visit the site, steelcityblitz.com. Check us out on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all kinds of that stuff. And for these morons, this is Steel Dad signing off on the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. And hey, go Steelers.
Ravens suck. Lamar's leaving, probably not, but maybe. Let's hope.
Or they'll pay him $600 million, you know.